Gambit is a really insane card in Marvel Snap. He has a crazy on reveal effect that says discard a card from your hand, destroy a random enemy card. There's not a whole lot of cards that destroy opposing cards. You know, Shang-Chi is probably the most popular one, but Gambit I think flies under the radar for a little bit. There's a combo deck out there that involves, you know, Wong and Odin and things like that, and I've played a few different variations of it, and it never felt super consistent. But I've actually made one that I've been climbing exponentially with it. I went from rank 60 to 70 in one day, probably over 50 games or so. Felt pretty good. Don't have an exact win rate or cube rate, but I was doing a lot of snapping and aggressive just play in general. So the deck focuses around Gambit and activating this ability twice, but it has a really smooth fallback plan. So obviously Gambit on top of Wong lets you do 2 discard and destroy effects, which is insane. And then at the end of the game, if you play Odin on top of that, you can have it happen 4 more times. Because Odin will trigger, Gambit will trigger twice, Odin will trigger again because of Wong, Gambit will trigger twice again. Now, the really important thing to know is you don't need to have a full hand to do this. If you are out of cards, Gambit will still destroy opposing cards. So he won't discard anything, but he'll still snipe an opposing card. Really, really powerful. When you add in Absorbing Man, you get another level of consistency to this deck. So even if you don't find Wong, you can still Gambit Absorbing Man to get some really powerful destruction on the opposing field. Even if it's just 2 cards, that could be detrimental to the opposing game plan. But Odin adds that extra layer as well on top of Gambit. So there's a lot of ways to get multiple triggers on top of Gambit. But if you leave all that behind, you can still use the fallback plan of this deck, which is just a generic on-reveal strategy. White Tiger is a classic card from the early game that adds a 7-power Tiger to a different location. On top of Wong, this can trigger twice and let you really win a different location. Or if you Odin this, you can get a lot of power out there. You get another 7-power Tiger, even if you don't have Wong. Or if you Absorbing Man on turn 6 after playing White Tiger, that's another 7-power Tiger. There's just a lot of layers to this deck that has a lot of consistency with its synergy. So that's one step of winning a different location, but let's say you just need to win the one location that you're at. Black Panther easily does that. He doubles his power on reveal. On top of Wong, that can happen twice. You Odin him later, that can happen twice, etc. You could Black Panther, or you could Absorbing Man after you Black Panther to get Absorbing Man to have 6 power, which is pretty meh, but it still is a thing that happens occasionally. That is another just way to try to win that exact location that you're at. Then you add Ironheart, who's just an absolute powerhouse on reveal decks. This effect happening twice is it's plus 6 power already by herself, spread out. Of course, if you have 3 units at different locations, it'll go all over the place. But if it happens twice, or if you Absorbing Man this, it's really powerful. Absorbing Man after Ironheart is pretty nuts because essentially you're giving 6 power out on turn 3, but then you're playing a 3-drop or a 4-drop that has 3 power, and he's giving out 6 power. Really strong stuff. And if any of that's on top of Wong, it's very, very strong. You just got to be careful because Absorbing Man doesn't always trigger on top of Wong in the exact way that you think. He'll copy the last played card, but he most of the time, what'll happen if you double Absorbing Man's on reveal, he'll use Gambit's on reveal, say, and then he'll do it again. But the last card played now is himself, so he won't copy it twice. So there's a little bit of something to know there. Just watch out for that. But still use him like normal with getting the extra pings. So the deck kind of fills in from there, but one other really key piece is Killmonger in this deck. I'm only using 1/1-drop. Killmonger kills all of the 1-cost cards on the board, but the main reason you want to do that is because you're killing any opposing cheap cards, so Gambit can kill their expensive cards. It's the whole synergy of Killmonger in this deck. Then I'm using Iceman just to slow them down a little bit, and Scorpion. I put these guys in a lot of decks. I think they're really, really strong together. I'm using Lizard, my friend Josh. I had Star-Lord in, my friend Josh suggested Lizard, which does make a lot of sense because ideally we're going to kill a couple things late in the game, which Lizard should allow his ability to go off untouched and have 5 power, since there won't be 4 things in the lane against Lizard. So he's really good for this deck. And then I'm using Maria Hill. You don't need her, but she's very, very good. On reveal, add a random 1-cost card to your hand. This gives you some fodder for Gambit if you do need to play Gambit earlier, so you don't discard some of your better cards, so you have less of a chance to discard some of your better cards. But also, it just gives you another 1-drop to play if you need it, and obviously be careful if you're going to play Killmonger after that. The deck has some crazy synergy, but there are clearly some things that stop the deck. It's an on-reveal deck, so we know we have to be careful of Cosmo. Cosmo can turn this deck into a nightmare, so we don't want to deal with that. And Enchantress can shut down Wong, which is less important because that's the only on-reveal card ongoing card we're using, unless you count Lizard. But Wong getting shut down does hurt, but it doesn't completely turn the deck off. The other card that really hurts against this deck is Armor, because we are just trying to destroy things, so be careful if they play Armor and play a lot of things in it. Gambit could still accidentally hit one of those units protected by Armor and not get the kill, so you got to be careful of that as well. Those 3 things are things to watch out for when you're playing this deck. Besides that, it has a ton of synergy, and I'm going to try to show you how it can just win a lot of games either in the old-fashioned on-reveal fashion, or it can win a lot of games by just blowing up your opponent's board with some Gambit combos that are absolutely hilarious. So I'm going to dive into some gameplay and hopefully show it off a bit for you. Alright, we got Lizard, Maria Hill, and Odin. And the TVA. So we're only going to have 2 turns or 4 turns to play this game. So not a whole lot. We'll see if our deck can function in that small window. So we're going to go with Maria Hill before Lizard. So we have the option to get another 1-drop, which will help fill in our plays here. He hasn't played anything. That's interesting. So we're going to go with Lizard in the middle and Sunspot on the right. He hasn't played anything as of yet. This might be a quick TVA game. But Lizard in the middle, Sunspot on the right. Oh, so we can play any card we want for 4. Let's see what X Mansion gives us. This is going to be a really weird game. Gives us both a 2-power unit, so not a whole lot going on there. I'm just going to go with Gambit. I think Gambit is a very solid option here just to kill a card. I'm guessing he's going to play something like Dr. Doom or something that's going to give him a lot of cards. We're going to go with Gambit and try to just shut down one of these cards here to see if we can win these things. Let's see. Gambit's going to kill either Agent 13 or Wave. Kills Agent 13. And he goes Galactus. That's interesting. So we have a game on our hands. So Galactus comes out, kills the other 2 locations, and now we're stuck just with these 2. So we really want to see... Oh, that's pretty good. Absorbing Man is pretty good. Now I can kill his Galactus by playing Absorbing Man right now, which I think I'm going to have to do. So we're going to play Absorbing Man. We're going to kill his Galactus by discarding something. We need to have more cards at this location. That's our win condition right here. He's playing Dr. Octopus, so he's pulling something to my hand. So now, can my opponent play 4 cards to fill in everything? I'm not sure if he can. I'm guessing he can't, so I'm happy with it. I'm just going to let the turn go. Obviously, I can't play anything anyway. Dr. Octopus pulled Scorpion to the board, but I blew up 2 things this game. Absorbing Man killed Galactus. It's Mojo World where this final location is at, which is funny. He can't play 3 units this turn, so we get a really, really cheeky win. But, I mean, hey, Gambit and Absorbing Man ended up pulling that off for me. I mean, Gambit ended up not. He ended up killing something that didn't matter. But if I had to play him to be able to get Absorbing Man to be able to proc that same ability, which ended up letting us win Mojo World, which is a hilarious game against Galactus. So I love that. Let's try to get some more. All right, we got Maria Hill, Killmonger, and Odin. And Collapse Mine, I think, is the hot location right now. You have to skip your turn, and then all the rocks get destroyed on your side. So we both skip our turn 1, and all the rocks die. I have Killmonger in here, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to go ahead with Maria Hill first. A lot of times I'll play her over Lizard, just so I have that extra 1-drop in case I need to fill in anything. Alright, when we play a card there, it's going to get doubled. So we do have the Wong and Odin and Gambit synergy right now. So I need to clear off these 1-drops here. So I don't want these 1-drops here at all. So I'm going to go ahead and play Killmonger in the middle. And I want to kill these Raptors so Gambit and Odin can go off a lot more consistently. So we're going to play Wong on the right. on top of Shuri's lab. It's not going to give us a whole lot of power, but hopefully it's just enough. If we kill some things there, we could try to win that location after, of course, we play Odin and Gambit. So I'm going with Wong. Wong's going to get plus a little bit of power. He's got Lockjaw, so he's going to be discarding stuff. Apocalypse twice. So APOC is pretty big right now. And let's see what Lockjaw starts pulling out. Dracula. Alright, so this turn we want to play Gambit and Lizard. And we are going to hope Gambit doesn't hit Odin, but there's a good chance, there's a 50% chance he does, 50% chance he doesn't when we only have 4 cards. So ideally, he doesn't, but if he does, we're going to have to figure something else out. Now, I probably should have played Lizard first, then Gambit, so the last thing I would have played is Gambit in case I draw Absorbing Man, and I don't have him right now. So he does discard Odin. Let's see what else we get. We get Dracula and Lady Sif off the board, which is pretty solid. We get +5 power on Lizard, only +1 on Gambit. Alright, he cleans our hand out, so regardless if we played Odin or not, wouldn't have helped. Now we need to try to win. So I'm feeling good. I'm going to snap. I'm going to play White Tiger on the right and Sunspot in the middle. It's just 1 extra power. White Tiger is going to trigger twice. He could definitely win Shuri's Lab if he plays Apocalypse there, but I'm going to get 2 Tigers elsewhere, so hopefully I can win the other 2 locations if he commits to that, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so White Tiger comes out and triggers 2 times. We get 1 in the middle, and we get 1 on the left. He has Hell Cow, who is 6 power, and he's discarding 2 cards, but he's going to get pushed into his own deck and replaced. Alright. And then Morbius comes out, and he has 10 power. So I think we clean it up. Very nice. So Gambit worked out on top of Wong, got 2 kills, killing an 8 power Lady Sif and Dracula, which would have been huge because he would have been a 24 or 28 power, whatever Apocalypse ended up as. So he would have been huge at the end there. And he discarded a bunch of cards, but Morbius has 0 power, so he doesn't get doubled there. Even if it did, he would have won that location. I tied the middle, but I won the left fully. So felt really clean, felt really good. A little bit of Gambit, a little bit of White Tiger. We use them together, that's fine. We clear his board out, we get a clean win. Let's keep it going. Alright, so we got Killmonger, White Tiger, Absorbing Man, and Black Panther. So missing a 2-drop right now. Missing a 1-drop is fine, we only have 1. And we see Wong next. Interesting, we have like all of our high-end cards. He's got Luke Cage. It looks like he might be doing like a hazmat thing. We do have Gambit, so that's pretty good. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and play Killmonger on the left here. So we have Wong, we have Gambit, and Absorbing Man. So we have a lot of potential to blow up his board. So Killmonger's just going to go down just to get 3 power, which is fine. He's got Zabu coming down. So maybe Luke Cage is going to be working with like Typhoid Mary and things like that. He gets Abomination from X-Mansion, which is pretty dang good. We get Red Skull, which is pretty dang good. Alright, so I'm going to go with Wong on the left, and I think I'm going to have to go into Gambit either this next turn, or Gambit on the last turn is always really nice, but if I draw Odin, I want to be able to play him on top of Gambit. Obviously, Gambit could discard Odin, so it's a little bit of a risk. And he's probably going to play a good bit of cards. He played Zabu on turn 3, so he's going to have most likely multiple 4-cost cards, and he's going to be able to play a lot of those. So he's going to have a big board, so Gambit triggering as much as possible would be ideal. We also just have the other option to play White Tiger on top of Wong to give us extra Tiger Spirits across the board for bonus power, or we could even play Black Panther on top of Wong just to win that location. He skips his turn 4, very crazy, so I don't know what's in his hand, but skipping his turn 4 is pretty nuts. I'm not going to play anything in the middle, I'm not too worried about it right now. And I think I'm just going to go with White Tiger and just try to put some Tiger Spirits everywhere. I'm going to get 2 kills with Gambit. Now I could play Gambit here first, and then I could play Absorbing Man next turn, but it depends what Gambit discards. So I'd rather play Gambit on 6 unless I have Odin in my hand to get the chance that I could pull Odin. So White Tiger puts a Tiger at both. He plays Doc Ock, which is going to pull cards from my hand, which is unfortunate. Or it could be unfortunate, I should say. Alright, so we get Black Panther, and then we get Gambit. So Gambit kills something at the vault, which is interesting. And now we have our next turn. So the last thing I played, I believe, was White Tiger. So Absorbing Man should trigger White Tiger to go off in that sense. So I'm going to play Absorbing Man and Maria Hill here. Nothing can be played at the vault, but he needs to play at least a card or 2 on the right side here to be able to win that location. And the middle, he's going to have to play at least one card, because I'm going to have 6 power here, and we killed Zabu. So even though it didn't really matter that we super won the Volt, killing Zabu could make his whole hand look completely different, right? He probably had a lot of 4-cost cards in his hand, and we killed Zabu, and now he can only play one of those instead of being able to play 3 of those on turn 6. So Gambit came in clutch, even though I didn't play him myself, but thank you, Doc Ock. Ideally, I was going to play him next turn and kill 2 things, but maybe that worked out even better. Alright, let's get some more. Alright, so we got Black Panther, Ironheart, Odin, and Absorbing Man. Missing our 1 and 2s, which isn't a huge deal, especially our 1s. We only run Iceman, so we don't always hit that. We would like to hit our 2s, but it doesn't always happen. Let's see what we draw. Alright, so we got the Nexus, Mojo World, and a blank location right now. This is going to be interesting. So we really want a lot of power in the middle. So the best way to do that, and the thing that this deck can do nicely, is just go all in on Black Panther and try to get a ton of power here. So Black Panther into Odin is most definitely happening. Now the question is, do I want Lizard at that location as well for 5 power? Or am I going to play something better than that before then? Right now my curve looks like this. And if that's the case, I think I want Lizard on the right side. So I'll give him Mojo World, and then I'll full commit to the Nexus. I think that's my plan here. Alright, so we got Vibranium Mines, but now we have Wong, so that's very good. So we have Ironheart in the middle, who playing now doesn't always feel that great, but it's actually pretty solid because Odin's going to make that trigger a lot later in the game, which is good. Now, with this hand, I would snap, but a lot of times I don't snap in my videos just so I can actually finish the game out. I don't want my opponent to just retreat. I'd rather finish the game out for the video, so I'm not going to snap here. But if you were playing this deck yourself, I think if you see the Nexus on the table, you see Ironheart, Wong, Black Panther, Odin, you definitely snap. You're feeling really good about what you can do. There obviously are some counters, like Cosmo, and let's see, Shang-Chi could counter us really bad. He could kill our big Black Panther at the end. Alright, we're going with Black Panther in the middle, and then we're going to go with Odin on turn 6, and that'll give us a ton of power. I mean, Black Panther is probably going to be in the 200 to 300 range after we play Odin on top of that. He's got Moon Girl, so he's probably going to be able to play multiple deaths, but that's not even going to be close to how much power we're putting out. So if he lets me finish this turn, Black Panther should be in the 300s, I believe. So Odin's going to trigger twice, which means Black Panther's going to trigger 4 times, which means Ironheart's going to trigger 4 times. And Ironheart is going to trigger before Black Panther 2 times, and then 2 times in between it. So yeah, opponent retreats, because you're going to see that, okay, if I have Odin, the game's over, right? Nexus is going to be in the 300 power range, which is just absurd. It's really hard to, if you don't have Cosmo, if you don't have Shang-Chi, you're not coming back from that. So that's one way. I think that really highlights that you can just go all in on Black Panther and win a location. And when that location is the Nexus, you're going to win the game as well. Alright, let's try to get some more. So we've got Ironheart, White Tiger, and Killmonger. And if we skip our turn, these rocks will die. And since we don't have a 1-drop, we'll go ahead and do that. Let's see if we draw a 2-drop here. Oh, well, we get our 1-drop now. So we get Iceman. We'll play him, why not? Slow our opponent down in some sense. Turn 3, we have Ironheart, White Tiger, and Killmonger. Let's see what we want to do. Well, we've got the Bar Sinister, which is pretty nuts. So I can just play Gambit on that at the end and just do some absolutely hilarious things, which I might do. I very well might do that. So I'm going to play Ironheart at this location now. It's just gonna so the debate is play Killmonger, or if I play Ironheart and play Odin on top of that, it would do some funny stuff. I think I'm just gonna go with Killmonger though for now. It's gonna kill my own 1, which isn't ideal, but we kind of drew him just to hit our opponent's hand anyway. So he is feeling good about it. I'm gonna go with Scorpion still here. I'm gonna go with Scorpion on the left. He's got Cable, so he's stealing a card from my deck. We got Scorpion. So far he's got 4. Alright, so Ironheart puts some power, but Lizard actually is just more power. But we can do both, so we're going to go with Lizard and Ironheart. So we're going to have a good, powerful location there, and then we're going to play Gambit on the right and just blow up through things. Plays Beast, so he jumps everything back to his hand, which would have been crazy if I had played Gambit this turn and he revealed first. Would have been super annoying for him to avoid all of my shenanigans. Alright, so now the debate is, what do we want to do with Bar Sinister? Alright, so Ironheart came out. So we can play White Tiger here, which will boost the middle location by 28 power, right? 4 tigers will spawn, but we'll definitely lose the right side location. Or we can play Gambit and blow up 4 units. That's our options. But we lose the right side location when we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and go with White Tiger. I want to play Gambit, but against a Beast and Falcon deck, it's not really worth it. Gambit is going to work a lot better against some crazy deck that's using a lot of high cost cards, right? And when they have the board flooded, not that much worth in playing Gambit. So we play White Tiger, we get 4 things in the middle, which is a ton of power, which clearly defeats Devil Dinosaur very easily. If he had played Devil Dinosaur on the left, though, he might have been able to sneak that location out. But he's not going to think I'm going to play White Tiger on the right. He thinks I can beat Falcon here, so it makes total sense. But there's an example of, we had all of our tools that we wanted to play. It's really just about what are we going to play at what time. So we had the option to play Gambit. We had the holster, even though it was more fun. Had the holster and play White Tiger instead to win that location. So there's a lot of flexibility with the deck. A lot of turn order operations. Make sure you're playing Gambit last on turns where you play 2 cards, so in case you draw Absorbing Man. Make sure you're playing, that kind of goes for all of the good on reveal effects. In case you have Absorbing Man in your hand, he copies the last card played. Make sure you play Wong first, but you can also play Ironheart underneath Wong and then play Odin later to get the trigger. There's a whole lot of turn order operations that you need to kind of work on with this deck, but once you get it down, the deck is dangerous. I promise you that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the deck. Hopefully you like this style of video and this style of gameplay, this style of combo gameplay. If you did, leave a like, leave a subscription to the channel, leave a comment below. Let me help you deck build a little bit, and as always, keep on snapping.